was your birthday, and I wish you happy birthday.
Special. It was so special, I will never forget that day. On my birthday, Lord sent you to show me that I got hope in you, that you make Spice Town better. No, it's serious. And I ain't got the doubts, boy. You got the first cricket bat, I hold my hand and pass down to E&S way. I know the whole scenario of this place. We believe, not believe. I have confidence and faith. That way, say St. Lucie pass on faith to us. And this is not highlight what Mr. Warren is saying. Mr. Paul Altman say the same thing. We need the characteristic of the hawkers that remain on the streets. We need the street one way. We need the overhang bars. So Paul Altman, I call his name till he dead. In 1982, he told us, he took me out and carried me old San Juan. Spice on the image of old San Juan. Every morning I wake, I see a ship doing so, that could be right. And I prepare myself. I tell the truth, I know how I survive. But through God's grace, I keeping my product looking the way that I believe will happen. Then we turn up and see we're wearing a jetty. And Mr. Edger make a mess of it. Leave it as that. Leave it as that. Mr. Edger make a mess of it. Because the government today will not follow the instruction and build and destroy all our marine life. In that, we can't hook a jack on that place. Can't hook a jack. He will destroy our marine life. But I have hope, because I can tell you, Michelle Page of Florida Cruise Association told me at a meeting, and here was in 1995, that they're willing to bring cruise ships here, the smaller ones, and make them transition. Not the big ones, but the government today say they want big ships to impress people. And we lost that contract. All I know, we don't need a big jetty. We could ferry the people in. It's going to look better than St. Vincent. Spice don't look better than St. Vincent, where the choice is going now. But you see me, I understand the undercurrent. I live on the sea. It's on the current that telling me that they ain't ready for me yet. The right owners got to own Spice Town before these things happen. Spice Town is driven by the sea. And you can bring 4 buses that breaking down and get through school children free thing. You could get a ferry from Bridgetown, stop at Hotel at 20 US a head, and get Spice Town, make money. We are begging. Our course is better than St. Vincent one, better than St. Lucia. Be thankful for Paul. So Paul Altman took me to all those islands. We are 25 years waiting on a promise. I have pictures of the cruise terminal that supposed to be Spice Town 25 years ago. 25 years ago. Might not a problem. Our beautiful spot down at Fort Denmark. Please, 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 don't let me lose our history again. Any developer down there, we need access to the beach. And we personally need something that you could relate to. When we proposed on the Spice Town Task Force in 1995, Cobble Cove and everybody object, and Schooner Bay turn up. We have 16 or 18 suites that sound good. There's $1 million suites, but only 5 people in there. But the $1 million don't come through Spice Town. It goes to the property owners that enjoy the suites. We need traffic, as Mr. Warren said. We need people living in Spice Town. We have no Roach building. They got planning petitions for 19 rooms in that place. There's 22 years, the person refused to build it. Every time town country planning come to them, they put 2 concrete blocks in the back. They can't say they start something.
Okay, Mr. Armstrong.
We'll be going through that now. I thank you. Because, listen. This is the problem with these meetings. It's always got a time limit. The Prime Minister come to listen.
Yes.
Prime Minister come to listen. No, she ain't going away. She ain't going away. She ain't going away. We just had a tsunami. I just had a tsunami discussion. In my shop. And the lady told me she got to get back home. I said, when the tsunami comes, you stay home? She got to get back home. She told me she got to get back home. I said, no, these important issues, you have to spend time. I know who got me cash box gear. I got employees down there that could carry everything, but I take time off to come here to express 48 years of my problem. My business is not checking bands and got cameras and hitting this and hitting that. They could thief and go along, but then I got good staff. They tell me I got to come for you, Armstrong, because they're not leaving. I'm not hogging at the show, sir. Not, Madam Prime Minister. I'm not hogging it up. But I want to understand the passion. We have 2 lights. I put on say about 2 lights for 14 years. Start up on 16th of June 2006. And they never light yet. There's light with a generator, and I turn off the generator in the morning. When we open the jetty and everything, the 2 lights on the bridge. I'm not begging for lights to burn on the bridge. There's international law. We got a war going up to Sheffield. We got a bridge built to go over to Sheffield. And we know how the connection happened. To connect the above to the bottom. We got 37 no parking signs in Spice Town. And police come every day and report people are going to bank at 70 and 80 wrong pension time. Where is the police to say tell a lie? Not going in here tonight. I'm not breaking the law. I'm telling the truth. And I feel sad. These are things that humbug in our business. In the middle of the day, we can't get people parking. We can't get business. A tour bus stop in front of my shop. This is a bad experience, and they show that education is helping us. Our police come and tell him, man, how come we park here? It got no delivery, no. You know what the police say? You're not delivering. The man assume he's delivering sand or rocks or something. They don't see you delivering foreign exchange. They never have to get a level yet. The man only see number of sand and rocks for delivery. The man never understand that he's delivering foreign exchange to Barbados. The next thing that I had a conversation with Tom Adams before he died, and cut this one short. And he called me and said, Mr. Armstrong, this is Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams ain't gonna friend the Adams. And my phone's getting short, we put down, he come back. He said, Mr. Armstrong, you remember? I said, yes, sir. Oh, sorry to talk about that, Baba. And he even introduced, and it's happening now, that 2 core shits stay after. Because they was convinced by the church. Gambling in Barbados waters. We gamble every day. See, Reverend gamble in my shop already. He live in England now. We talk about gambling. We gamble every day. We got to go to Calvin Simpson water, they can't pay for it. That's gambling too. I went to Antigua, and we got casino. We got casino in Antigua, and the only way you could get in there is through your passport. What we can't do in Barbados. We are fooling. We are a service country, and we shut down Barbados on Sundays. We are closing the doors, and all people flee. I'm working 7 days a week from November to April, so that the tourists that come through on the coast ship, that will see Fisherman Pub open. We need to talk to the church, because I could trust myself at home. All God asks you to do unto others and let them do unto and love God with all your might. That's all what Peter asked him so. And he obeyed all the commandments and tell you that. Thank you very much for coming. You is the second Prime Minister ever comes to Spice and listen to anything we say. And thank you, and God bless you and guide you and steer you. Because your economy can't go unless Spice drive it. Barbados is small, and your economy got to drive by the sea. You got to get tourism going. You got to stop the traffic off the road and get it through the sea. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Armstrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Clement. I think that there are a number of good ideas that you've raised. The reason why we're having these fora, and I want to say that it pleases my heart to see a full Alexandra school representing all the demographics in terms of age, race, class, color. And the bottom line is that there's some easy low-hanging fruit. I want to commend you for reminding me about the Speightstown Task Force. I believe we need to reinstitute it. And I will ask Colin to put together a committee in consultation with members. I know you want to serve. Sorry? Well, we'll check on that for you. But separate from that, the point is that we're going to need to be able to have a deeper consultation, because I think the hardest thing is to agree the mission. And I think that there's nobody of sound mind that would believe that Speightstown should be anything other than heritage. And that we should not change the character of Speightstown, because that allows people to feel as though they are anchored to a time past, but still enjoy the amenities and the conveniences of the 21st century. You're lucky that there are people of all backgrounds and skills that you can draw upon, Colin, to serve on a task force. The reason why I don't like a task force, however, is that it is not an open-ended opportunity to be able to talk forever. And therefore, we will establish it, but I want the results by the end of June. Agreed. But I want the task force to recommend things that they want to see by the end of June. Now, without prejudice to that, I think that there is merit in Speightstown becoming a one-way and allowing for more pedestrian activity. In other words, better sidewalks, better street lights, all of those things. So without prejudice to that, Peter Phillips is here from MTW, and I'd like him to raise with CTO in the ministry tomorrow and get their opinion to be given to me within 2 weeks before the end of February about their comments on turning it, because I don't believe in directing without consultation with the technical officers, because that's what we pay them for. We don't have to agree with them all the time, but they need to be part of the process. So I'm taking the liberty of taking out that suggestion and asking for one, Speightstown as a one-way, what direction, and then to look at doing a plan. In any event, we've asked the Ministry of Public Works to be able to make all of our towns accommodating of the differently able. And that's not a major thing. Let's get real. It just means making sure that wheelchairs can access the sidewalk without somebody going to lift the person and the wheelchair. Which means that the depots, and we have 13 of them, can be tasked to be able to cut and have the ramp, which is very small, to cover the widest possible wheelchair that it would have to cover. And I'm hoping that in this next fiscal year, we can enhance our aspiration to be a good society by being able to accommodate the differently able. And Speightstown is but one of the towns for which that would apply. So those two things we can do without prejudice to whatever else you're doing. I know that there's an RFP that is in. I've not seen the analysis with respect to the new potential and new pair for Speightstown, but we are on the same wavelength about the small ships. And Colin, talk.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that people not beg me to shut up. There is, Prime Minister was speaking to an RFP. The Barbados Port Inc. has planned a town hall meeting, and that's what I want to share, for February 19th. I think this February 19th. Right, February 19th, right here at Alexandra. And we are encouraging everybody from St. Peter, especially those from Speightstown. I don't have to tell Clement that twice. But they're going to be presenting some information from technical people, but they are coming particularly, and I had a conversation with the chairman of the port just this afternoon at the residence of the IDB country rep. They are coming to listen. So, from Austin to Clement and everybody in between, we want you to come. We want you to come and share your views. One of the things that we've been saying is that often the technical people and people at different levels, it appears as though they ignore the views of who we call ordinary people. But they've committed to coming to sharing some information, but also listening to us. February 19th, right here at Alexandra.
Make some money.
Madam Prime Minister, we have a young man here from the Courage and Paris School who has a couple ideas he'd like to share with you.
Certainly. What's your name?
My name is Zari Thompson.
Sorry?
Zari Thompson.
Zari Thompson. Good to see you, and better to see
Good
you
to
in
see
your
you
school
too.
uniform at this hour.
Feels great. So, I have a couple ideas. So, St. Peter has produced and continues to produce culinary artists. It is on that premise that I wholeheartedly believe that a Spicetown Heritage Night, preferably Friday, should be implemented. I envision a lime.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Oh. St. Peter has produced and continues to produce culinary artists. It is on that premise that I wholeheartedly believe that a Spicetown Heritage Night, preferably Friday, should be implemented. I envision a line where there would be various Bajan cuisine, local DJs, and live and recorded music. A night where persons could come out after work to enjoy themselves and release the stress. It would be an option instead of going to oistings. My next point is to have the buses travel through the Spicetown Old Road instead of the bypass road, so people will be able to see the offerings of the town. I also believe that Spicetown should be engaged in more social events, such as hosting a St. Peter's Festival, and also an event venue being able to hold concerts. And last but not least, the town should build and open a dock so that tourists on board of cruises can dock and explore the forgotten treasure. Thank you.
What form are you in?
I'm a returning fifth.
Okay, and you're from the north?
Yes, please.
Okay. And what do you want to do when you leave school?
Lawyer.
You see this gentleman here in the blue, before you leave, talk to him tonight. But I really want to thank you for engaging and for being thoughtful enough to put forward the ideas. This country is about you all now. Believe you me. And that is why, more than anything else, I need you all to have a voice, and I need you all to be able to want to participate and make a difference. I think that the Spicetown Heritage Night is an excellent idea, but we need to make sure that it accommodates all ages, just like this room and this town hall is doing. So that, Colin, I'll leave it in your hands. I know it may be your Sabbath, but I know that you are more than capable.
Friday night and Saturday night.
He wants 2 nights. But whether it is in the heart of Spicetown or Sixmans or whatever, or alternate between the two, the point is that we need to create opportunities, and a lot of tourists will want to come in the same way that tourists on the South Coast go to Oistins. So let's see how we can do it in a way that is reflective of the spirit and of the opportunities for local people to be able to see more. The buses through the town, I'm not sure. I don't want to give you an answer on that, but we'll raise it. But I do know that Larry's point about the buses and the overhanging verandas may conflict. But let me give you my idea, and hopefully somebody in this room or in this country can tell me whether it's feasible. As Bridgetown is becoming more and more a tourism and accommodation center. It's going to be less a commercial center in the way that we knew it for all the years. And as I said today at the Chamber of Commerce, the Lord has blessed us with a wonderful crescent bay with beaches that are second to none in the Eastern and Southern Caribbean. We are going to have to get out of the habit of putting car parks on beaches. Barbados has the most expensive car parks in the world. Whether it is by the heliport, whether it is by the Hilton, whether it is by Pirates Cove or Massey's Land, call them all off. But we don't have a lot of land in the center of town. So the only way we're going to get around it is by having a return of transport. City Circle, or whatever I used to call it, but I don't want the blue and yellow city circle. What we need to do is to have distinctive transport so that if we can have the equivalent of a Rockland or Elite bus, but instead of the tarpaulin coming down in the 21st century, let us have some kind of hydraulic thing that can push up excuse me, a window for when the rain comes down, and when the rain isn't falling, then you have some kind of opening, or if it comes from the top and comes down. And we need that kind of design, but Barbados must have a distinctive bus again, not just for parties. And that bus must do not just Bridgetown, so you may have 6 or 8 because it depends on how long it takes to loop to do the circle. And the idea is that within every 6 to 8 minutes, I should be able to get onto a bus. If I can get onto a bus every 6 to 8 minutes, having car parks just on the outside in White Park and other areas just outside of Spring Garden, Westbury, can all of a sudden make sense. But the problem doesn't end in Bridgetown. We have the same problem on the South Coast. And we have the same problem on the West Coast, because most of our development has taken place in a very tight thing, so there's not even a lot of room for widening the road without government literally breaking and bankrupting itself in terms of compulsory acquisition or whatever. So we need to have a West Coast shuttle, and we need to have a South Coast shuttle that allows us to be able to put car parks, which we would put out to RFP, for ordinary Bajans, because what is a car park but a rectangular building with a bar that comes up and down? And ordinary people should be able to have a car park as an investment in the same way that Tom Adams created the local transport sector and the restaurants as opportunities for local investment. It means that we can move the car parks in 1 or 2 streets in for the South Coast. The West Coast is a little more difficult to explain it in that way, but within a close enough distance that people can walk, get on the bus, and get to the restaurant or to the location where they're going without having to provide parking on the particular coast. And that has been one of the biggest constraints in town planning towards development. Now, how do you constrain a country's opportunities, either in terms of tourism product or hotels or villas, purely because of car parks? And in this country, we've gotten to this stage, we went through the point where everybody wanted a car, so you have now 120,000 cars on 166 square miles. Madness. And in this instance, what you then have is a situation that you're spending real money on something that depreciates within the first day of your owning it by 20 or 30%. Now, I keep using Minister Cadell, and she may not like it, or she may, but I know too many young people now who are just choosing not to have cars. And the bottom line is that if Barbados has reliable public transport managed by an effective mass transit authority, more and more people are going to choose not necessarily to put that big lump sum in a car. But it means planning. It means having the buses, and we don't need the Transport Board to own any more buses, because the routes, the last government gave away enough licenses that we can give people the routes if they just convert, however, to the kinds of buses. Our only thing is to tell you, this is the kind of bus we want for the shuttles. Because by having those buses for shuttles, we then bring a quaintness about Barbados's tourism product. The second point that I'd like to make is that there has to be a responsibility for us to maintain buildings and properties in our town centers. There has to be. And even if it means in some instances government has to put together a low interest fund that owners can borrow money, but you have to be able to keep your buildings painted. The same way you get the benefit of a higher valuation of the property in a town center, it comes with a burden. And the burden is you got to keep your property in good shape, so that And I say so without fear of contradiction. My brother owns a building in town, and I abuse him and tell him, fix it up if not, I gotta deal with you. You understand? Finish the building. Because we have to be able, and part of the difficulty is that the last decade was a rough decade. I get it. But we have to move to a point now where we treasure our town centers and we begin to look and see what is the aesthetic that we want to promote that makes us first as Barbadians proud and others then admiring what we are proud about.
We have a
So
gentleman.
thank you, Star.
Thank you.
Thank you. And good luck.
Thanks.
We have a gentleman who wishes to speak with the Prime Minister. You can go ahead and pose your ideas to the Prime Minister.
Okay. Good night to all and to the Honorable Prime Minister. My name is Anderson Miller, and I have been trying, even before you were elected, to speak to you. And I have not been able to secure that. I wrote into you, and I don't know. It seems that even my electronic device got to you. You said thank you, and that was it. Nevertheless, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity again to present myself. What I wanted to do is to deal with all the issues in the country.
Yeah, let him talk. You may not be able to deal with all stars. So let's deal with one tonight and we move forward. Let's claim ground on one and we move forward.
Yes.
All right, because they got a lot of people standing up behind you.
Oh, okay. I know that. But what I'm saying goes holistically. My ideas are not cocooned into one. I can deal with all and any issue you may have. Anyhow, what we will deal with tonight is the upliftment of Spice Song and the northern part of the country. My idea of having Spice Town immediately revived is one, simple. Similar to what Mr. Armstrong has said and has been pleading for a very long time, is one way. Spice Town needs to have buses coming back through Spice Town. There's no other way of putting it. The buses need to pass through Spice Town, through the old road, and back out. Whenever a bus comes into Spice Town, they will all come around the top road and run by Alexandra and finish our thing. Simple. I have given proposals how to deal with the transport board. That is the issue. Because I told the minister I can get 80 buses here for him, free of cost initially to the government. And people are laughing. I was saying, if I can do that, at least all you have to do is test me and see how foolish I am. But no, people will laugh.
No worry, laughter. Let me tell you what to do, Star. Write me. I'm being very honest now. Listen, I will get every proposal I receive, I have assessed on its merits. If the proposal has merit in it, then we can do it. If it doesn't, then we will not be able to, and we'll tell you up front. I give everyone that assurance. Part of the difficulty is that we are operating under straitened circumstances. I don't make any bones about that. So we have limits as to what we can do in terms of what we can use in terms of debt, etc. So write me, okay?
Ma'am, I have written you.
And write again. You understand? Because what you have sent to me on WhatsApp, I answer everybody on WhatsApp. You understand? But I keep telling people that I also have 3,000 unread WhatsApps. Okay? So I do as many as I can, every day as I can. But my number is public. I don't hide it. It's the same number I gave out at Foundation School to Frandel in 2016. I still have the same number. You understand? So write me formally and let me get it passed on to somebody. All right?
Very well.
What's the name? Antonio what?
Anderson Miller.
Miller, no problem. So we'll move forward.
Okay.
All right? Thank you.
Now,
I want to get some other people to get a chance to speak. We have 2 students here. We have 2 or 3 people behind you.
Right.
And we have 3 people here. So we're just sharing it up tonight to everybody, a little piece. Okay? Thank you.
Good evening once again to everyone, and a good evening to the Prime Minister. I just want to know, as it relates to heritage, has there been any consideration given to St. Peter and Spikestone being given the honor of a UNESCO World Heritage Site, similar to what has happened with Bridgetown and its garrisons?
That's exactly where we would like to go. And that's why I said that I really want the task force set back up as the first step, because I've been in public life long enough to know that once we can set a mission that everybody's agreed to, then people start to pull weight. So that when I tell the country, for example, the first mission was about saving the value of the dollar. We've more or less done that. On the 2nd of January, I said to the country, and on the 1st at River Bay, the 2nd in the address that I did, that the next major mission for the country has to be Barbados becoming world class for these youngsters who are here tonight with us. Because at the end of the day, people must come to this country because we are the best. We offer the best. Barbadians must want to stay in Barbados and not emigrate to other countries because they can get a better living here than they can get anywhere else. And our word must stand for something when we speak, and friends of all, satellites of none cannot be simply a slogan, but it has to be how we conduct ourselves. If we do these things, then I can assure you we will get somewhere that will allow us to sustain Barbados for these children's children and grandchildren. Problem is that there are a number of sub-themes now, and that's why we're trying to pick out those sub-themes that will help us. So today, Dr. Greenidge gave a slide that showed that the biggest problem in this country has been in decline in productivity across the board. Now, who controls that? Not Donald Trump. Us. So each one of us in here, in simple language, got to up the game. Up the game. And being world class just simply means upping your game. Secondly, we need to be able to restore aspects. Cabinet will tell you that I am the biggest complainer about bush every Thursday morning in Barbados and weeds. And that is why we've put back in the programs. It hurt my heart that I couldn't do it before. But we now have 65 people at MTW working to deal with the roads. And then the others who we brought on at Christmas that we told you about will now go week on, week off until the rainy season is fully back in, when they can go back full time. And we've bought the equipment for few more, what do you call them, skid steers, to clean the side of the road, because I never see weeds grow in concrete yet. They grow because silt is allowed to accumulate in the gutters. Okay? So this meeting, and in our manifesto we say we want Spikestown as a former heritage city. But in order for us to make the case, we have to have a plan that is credible. If not, the people at UNESCO are going to run us out of the place. So having the task force and being able to do the other sub-themes hopefully will allow us to be able to get there. I feel that Spikestown should not only be a heritage center, but you see how that gentleman painting behind there? I'm watching him all evening and enjoying every second of it from this platform. But Spikestown must be almost an artist colony, where people and creativity is just oozing out in the same way that people go to New York and you go to the village and you expect certain types of activity in the village or Covent Garden or whatever. So Let us create that, but it means everybody working together in order to make it happen. Okay? Yes. What's your name there?
My name is Brianna Ramsey.
Brianna Ramsey? Brianne. And you are?
And my name is Tristan Edwards.
Okay, you're doing a duet?
Spikestone is rich with diverse culture, arts, and heritage. It will be a waste to have tourists travel from this lovely town that has so much to offer and go elsewhere for festivities. When we as a community can bring events here, given that Spikestone is easily accessible. Our proposed ideas would be to introduce a festival similar to those of the other towns, but with our own flair.
The notion is to bring food, history, and art of our beloved nation to the table, straight from our people, land, and sea. Sorry. The notion is to bring food, history, and art of our beloved nation to the table, straight from our people, land, and sea. We can and will combine tourism, agriculture, and entertainment to create Spikestone Festival, land and sea line. This is where we can showcase our local entertainers, fishermen, farmers, and street vendors, and get a chance to dust off Granny's old recipes and bring back some good memories. It will give tourists a taste of sweet Barbados and remind ourselves of our pride, our land, and our sea. With our young and old generations coming together to bridge the gap through competition and fun, events, games, and music of new and old. This project will bolster our community participation in the tourism industry.
I'm going to ask Colin to answer you because I suspect there have already been some preparatory work. But the only thing I'd like to add to him is to put an element for 2 students from Alexandra, 2 students from Coleridge and Parry, so that we have young people infusing in the preparation and planning for it. Colin?
Yes. A couple of things. The matter of a Spikestone Festival is one that the parish organizing committee, but even before the parish organizing committee, there have been some people, including Jamal and a couple of others, who had spoken about starting to work on developing a festival so that the idea is there. And as Prime Minister said, what we have to do is to make sure we have a group, a representative group that will allow us to do the planning and build out what the festival would look like. So I take Prime Minister the point that, well, I take it almost as an instruction, but it makes sense, that we add young people to any committee that we have so that we have the perspectives of everybody included.
Thank you. What do you want to study?
Culinary arts or culinary nutrition.
And what's your name?
Tristan Edwards.
I look forward to eating your food. And what do you want to study?
Culinary arts as well.
As well. So you all, the duet is a restaurant together too? I look forward to that. And the truth is, as you do it, just remember that the biggest problem facing this country is chronic non-communicable diseases. And that is effectively as a result of what we eat. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Somebody, what, the mic disappeared? Come. Use this. Come forward, sir. I never see you share yet.
Listen.
So just that the older gentleman had the microphone.
Sorry, I didn't see, gentlemen. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Miss Marley.
What's your name?
Holford Edwards. Holford Edwards.
Mr. Edwards.
Live at 33 Spikestone.
I live in Church Street, Whitestone.
No problem. You continue, sir.
I live in front of the Salvation Army. I sit on the Salvation Army step. Now, I'm protecting you and your tourists. They comes down there, they do not stop by the white line. They go straight down by the white line. Now, Wednesday last week, Mr. Williams' truck came up with a trailer behind. I could not get around. And two tourists down there, down by the white line, he cannot get around. So the truck stopped. The jeep traveling along, and a man come from behind and nearly killed him. So that way I joined the joint and went in the pine. I have, you see the bright lights? The Salvation Army got one that spot me. And I got a pipe for you to put on the slipper drain with a red light that the people can see them when they come down. They got to stop there. Any man behind there, write him up. Simple as that.
What I will do, Mr. Edwards, is ask both Colin and Peter Phillips to come and visit you and see exactly what it is and then report back to me. Can you all do that for me tomorrow morning?
Okay, Maria.
Because they can do it before they come to cabinet. Thank you. Peter will just wait on you. Thank you, Mr. Edwards, for bringing it to our attention.
Just a brief announcement. I just want to let you guys know that Chef Gregory Austin has prepared some sumptuous Bajan delicacies on the outside. So as soon as you're ready, you can go right ahead and sample them.
Hey, good night. My name is Teddy Hines and I'm a technologist. I'm here to ask a question. And then after the answer to the question, we can move into what my idea is. I don't know how many people here know what net neutrality is. It's the protection of the internet from the service providers. I guess you're all accustomed to like WhatsApp or so on. What will happen one day if Cable and Wireless and Digicel decides that they're losing revenue from WhatsApp and decides to block WhatsApp? And this can happen for any internet application around the internet. And given that Barbados is the fastest internet in Latin America, we have the fastest internet speeds in Latin America, and we rank number 54 worldwide. The internet is actually a resource that we can use to gain foreign exchange without destroying anything in Barbados, without destroying the environment. But like in the US, what's happening right now is there's a fight to actually keep the internet an open place, to remain a creative medium so anybody has a chance to make money or form a business or write an application or talk to their family or whatever they choose to do on the internet. We find ourselves in a very precarious situation in Barbados because we've moved from a monopoly to a duopoly, which simply means that Cable and Wireless and Digicel have meetings to decide what happens. So should there not be governmental input to stop the internet from being managed by the people who sell us the internet and own the infrastructure, it will put Barbados at a serious disadvantage going forward. Next point that I'm trying to make, next point that I'm thinking, you spoke about productivity tonight. We work in an environment, if the internet goes out for a day, anybody with a business knows they need to send home their staff. Why it is that you bring people from home with internet to fight with traffic, to fight with everything, to your office to use your internet. Having people work from home, you reduce carbon footprint, you reduce traffic, all of those things that you need millions of dollars to solve. Because we have such a good internet infrastructure in Barbados, better than the United States in most cases, we can look at whether there's a tax credit There's some incentive to businesses who encourage their staff to work from home. And I think that if we market the internet well as a good and open resource and a resource that will be kept open, it will even help in our gain to gain foreign exchange.
Thank you, Teddy. Both points. One, there's no doubt that we want to keep the internet open to all. So let's start from that premise. Secondly, part of the difficulty of the world in which we live in is, and you know this better than most because you're a technology expert, that technology is operating at such a pace that it is stranding investments all over. So that the telecommunications companies are no different from the rest. Governments, therefore, in its regulation have to be fair. But at the same time, we want to protect. The battle that we are fighting with them, for example, now, and it will come up in 2 weeks' time when we host the the CARICOM Heads of Government intercessional meeting, is we've been saying to both telecommunications companies, because they operate in almost every country in the region, that the notion, and Minister McConney is here, Kay is here, and she will tell you that we're raising it. Professor Prasad has been talking to them for me with there, that we cannot have these high roaming costs for whenever you travel within the Caribbean region if we are really a community.
That costs the provider nothing.
That's the point. Single domestic space in telecommunications. And therefore we need to be able to see how we can have a regional rate that is lower than the overseas and the roaming that we're paying now, but that even if it is higher than the domestic rate, because we accept that, go to New York, you pay a local rate for within New York. Then you pay a long distance rate to California or Vermont or Washington, D.C. And then you pay...
Madam Prime Minister, I must interrupt at that stage. I don't know when is the last time you went to New York, but that tariff does not exist in the U.S. anymore. It might exist in Europe, but it does not exist in Europe.
Well, and it hitherto did, and I'm using that as an example, only because the Caribbean community is a community of sovereign nations, whereas in New York it's just states. So I'm trying to create a single rate for within the community, rather than us facing these horrific rates when you go to St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Trinidad, Jamaica, Guyana, because more and more, Barbados has a trade surplus with the Eastern Caribbean. Barbados has a trade surplus with Guyana. What does that mean? That Bajans are going into the OECS and in Guyana and doing business. Now, if their telecoms rates are much higher than it ought to be, then that's unfair. Now, having said that, you have to admit that if companies are losing complete revenue because everybody is shifting and making calls on WhatsApp, then you have a problem and you're putting at risk both the company and the investments. So that there has to be some kind of middle ground, even if it is to charge a flat rate for certain applications. Clyde and I once, many years ago, believed that we needed to look at a higher flat rate that would give all Bajans, irrespective of their income levels, basic access to Wi-Fi, because I don't know where the next Bill Gates is coming from. I don't know where the next Jeff Bezos is coming from. And both of them are no greater in their field than Rihanna is in hers or Gary Sobers is in his. So that this country has produced geniuses of global acclaim. And they may well be here in our country. And the digital literacy of the 21st century is the equivalent of the educational literacy of the 20th century. So we have to be able to create a platform where everybody can have access at a basic rate. Now, people can't do it and will not do it for free. But we take the point that we need to keep the prices down and we need to make it accessible and affordable, and we do not need people's eyes being jerked out for what now is the most basic form of technology. So believe you me, we'll work on that. On the other matter of working from home, we have in the social partnership a committee now that is looking at the structure of work. And I said it today in the Chamber of Commerce, we need to stop making, we're at the point where we're looking at the recommendations. One of them is to stop making a public servant a liar because they want to do the most basic thing in their family. People have family duties all the time. You might have to take your mother to the hospital. You might have to carry your son to a sports day. Why should you have to take a sick day or vacation day to do the most basic things that are necessary to keep families together? So what we're looking at is a process of lieu days where you can have up to 5 or 7 lieu days and you just make back up the time. You can do it in one fell swoop, or you can do it in a number of hours by staying on 3-4 hours after work. 2 4-hour extensions is a whole day. Okay? At the same time, in fairness, the NUPW and others have put on the table, there may be certain categories of workers that can in fact do work from home. The key in all of this, my brother, though, is that to whom much is given, much is what? And therefore, the issue of accountability and being able to monitor becomes absolutely critical. And once people can be responsible enough to meet those obligations and to deliver their work in the time frame, then it's all right. Similar with flexi time, not just working from home, but there's some people who will want to come in perhaps at 9 to avoid the school traffic and work to 6 or 7. You know, there's some who want to come in at 6 in the morning and work to 2. So we have to be able to accommodate and be more flexible rather than the rigidity of the public service or the rigidity even of some private employment. So the point is well made, my brother. Thank you.
Madam Prime Minister, we have one of our panelists, Petra Toyin Haynes. She wants to engage you on the art point.
Good evening, Madam Prime Minister. You expressed an interest in art and its development. One of the things I would like to see done, because of so many abandoned buildings in Speightstown, is to have an art residency where artists, performers, filmmakers can go and express themselves and network and engage in performances, whether it's acting, visual arts, you know, to create, to network, I would say a 24/7 operation where we can engage the youth to express themselves. I'm also the coordinator of Art Wednesdays, where we have several activities going on, especially for the geared towards the youth, right? Trash bin, beautification, mural design, jewelry, and mask making. I think this would be start of the conversations that we need to have to get art up and moving, especially in Speightstown and St. Peter.
An idea of a building?
Earlier we discussed Alma Paris. I'm not sure what's happening with the Manning's building.
Alma Paris hopefully will become a school again.
Okay.
Because this country cannot afford to write off the people who used to go to Alma Paris.
Right, okay. There are a lot of abundant, like, I don't know what's going on with the Manning's building. The Norwich building needs repairs.
I like the idea. I'd like you to put the proposal together. Send a copy of it as well to the Speightstown Task Force through Colin, but send one directly to me. And then I will see how we can work on it. The other thing that we're using, because government doesn't have the ability to tax and spend as much as it used to. And therefore I'm using planning gains as a way to be able to achieve some of the things that are desirable in our society. So one of the planning gains, for example, that I've put on the Hyatt is to put a facility at the old fish market there, just below the St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Church. That is that open spot now. Because Barbadians must have somewhere where they not only can get to walk on the beach, but where they can go and carry themselves and the families if there's a birthday or if they just want lime or whatever that is dedicated to Bajans. And that's why I have a problem with the fence that has been put up between the I Ward and Copacabana. I am not getting in a dispute between two landowners, but I am going to get into it because Bajans who want to go to the beach used to park there. And it cannot be that people are prevented from going on the most magnificent of beaches in Carlisle Bay because a fence is now there. Can't work.
And also the possibility
Even
of
if
having...
it means that we have to own the property again.
Of having murals and monuments, like from Mullins to Six Men's, have
You have me on board. I am so
Okay.
angry that the last government removed the mural off of the Eagle Hall post office. I've never seen any. I assumed that it was a lash at me because the mural also had a picture of my grandfather on it. But I've never seen a mural painted over any part of the world. Murals, if they start to fade, are fixed up, not painted over. So rest assured, I think we did a public art initiative recently, Jonathan, for the Cheapside post office. So if you send the proposal, it is something that will likely get our support. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. One other thing that I'm going to let Santia speak to, and I want to just say this before she speaks. Many years ago, we started the associate degree and the bachelor's degree in performing arts and in fine art at the community college. I've asked Santia now to look to start an associate degree in design, because our biggest problem is to get the aesthetics right, and therefore we need to master the art of design. And whoever are some of the best designers in the world, we need to affiliate the community college with it so we can start training our young people in design.
I think we have one of the greatest fashion icons in the world, homegrown here in Barbados, Rihanna. And so I think that's testimony to where we have the potential to go as well. But I just wanted to add to the fact, I mean, just before I came here, I just unveiled another mural at the Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute of Technology. And one of the projects that we've been working as a government is trying to paint up the schools, being able to engage our creators to not just be showcasing their talent in exhibitions, but being a part of creating and memorizing our heritage as well. So we are trying to engage more creators across Barbados and to inspire a number of our young people as well to see the arts as a vibrant profession and also an opportunity to make money as well.
So just let me add to what Petra was saying. Petra is the coordinator for art in the gathering, and she spoke to Art Wednesday, paint the town, color the town, sorry. I don't think she stressed it enough, so there's an ad. Every Wednesday from next Wednesday, we have Art Wednesday, color the town in Speightstown, from 10 till about 8, I think. Sorry, from 1 till 8.
Good night,
Thank
Honorable
you.
Prime Minister. My name is Jacqueline Marshall. I came because I heard they were going to be speaking about heritage and culture and the arts. And one of the things that I am interested in is seeing, for the last 10 years, I've been working in Ghana. And one of the things that I've seen and I've heard here tonight is about the paintings, is about the cooking. And I believe that that is some of the things, especially when I listen to the youth, to the young people, that everybody is not academically versed. And because of the connections that we have with one another, as the chef was talking about tonight, and as the Honorable Minister was there, he was pointing out tonight as well, he might be a good accountant, but somebody else is a good cook. And therefore, I was thinking, what can be done in a connection like that, where young people who are interested in culinary arts, who are interested in paintings, who are interested in even what we would consider handicraft, the connection of the youth being invited to go to Ghana to see even other artists, but especially young people, because I dealing with young people that I've taken to Ghana, they tend to see what I, as a senior person, don't see. And I believe that it would benefit this country, like even in this St. Peter area where we're talking about all the heritage and everything that is going on, that the young people going into the schools, the secondary schools, and being able to choose some of the persons who might be interested, seriously interested in making a difference in this heritage season, bringing us up where our craft and their craft can be combined to make it specifically geared or centered for our Barbadian culture.
You'd be happy to know that that's one of the things that we've discussed actively with both Ghana and Kenya and Suriname and Guyana. Because the bottom line is, if I had all the money in the world for Barbados, or money was no problem, as Eric Williams used to say, I would set up a fund that would allow every child between the ages, at some point between the ages of 13 and 15, to be able to go and spend a summer overseas for 6 or 8 weeks in one of those countries, whether it's Africa, whether it's Guyana, whether it's Suriname. And I'm choosing, notice I'm choosing continental countries as opposed to islands, because I want people to have a different perspective. There is nothing that will open up the minds of our people more than being exposed overseas. And while we're doing all of the stabilization and trying to get the growth together, if I had one wish, and the others have heard me say it before, if I had one wish that I'd like to give every Barbadian school child, is that ability to be able to spend 6 to 8 weeks overseas at a formative stage of their lives in order to be able to make that defining difference. It doesn't require hotel rooms, because young people like to live together when they are that age, because they don't get the chance to do other things when they're home, living at home, that they can do when they're living together in a camp setting. And we have already taken steps to twin schools with Kenya, and Santia has given us the schools, and that will happen. We want to do the same now with Ghana, and the Minister of Tourism and Minister of Culture are dealing with it. Our biggest problem is the airlift, as you would know, and we're trying to work on that now, because it's actually quicker to get to Ghana than to get to London. But we see everything only in terms of north. So if we can open that up, then the opportunities, as you have said, are more than things. I gave the president of Ghana a painting, watercolor, I believe it was, with a juking board, a coal pot, a mortar pestle, and something else. And I gave it to him in a room, a hall as big as this, at lunch, with all of the diplomatic community and all of the senior people from Ghana there. And when I unveiled it and gave it to him, you would have thought that I was giving him gold from the response of the people in the room. Because in us, they saw themselves. And in them, we see ourselves. So that symbiotic linkage is critical for these young people to be able to see. And you're walking down the road, you say, look at so-and-so. And look at so-and-so. Because everybody looks like somebody you know from about here. It's the most surreal experience.
I know that.
Okay? And we all know that genes really stay with us. Okay, so we'll work on it.
Yes, I just wanted to say too, with the experience that I would have acquired in the last 10 years working in Ghana, if there anyone here who will be interested and want to get any information from me, I'm willing to share.
Just take the information from her for me, please. Contact. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Prime Minister, your concept of an ideas forum has now expanded. The Net speaker now wishes to use it as an outreach to reconnect to her family.
Hi.
Thank you.
I'm Sheila Wilkinson, Clark Wilkinson. Remember me from Panama?
Yes. We met you last year.
I know.
That's right. I didn't expect to see you in Barbados.
I know. I didn't expect to be here either. My name is Sheila Clark Wilkinson, and I'm here tonight because I have some friends back there. I asked everybody to bring me, and Joyce Hall and Ivan and Gloria Straker brought me, and I want to give God thanks for that. My grandparents were born here. I found that out last Thursday. I have 2 grandparents that were born here. I have their baptismal papers, and they were born in Black Bess, St. Peter. They were baptized, both of them, at the St. Peter Parish Church. I came here yesterday and took pictures of it with David Clark. And I found papers at the archives on my grandfather. He changed his name from James Beresford Alfonso Brown with an E, and he went by Beresford Alfonso Brown without the E. He left here on the 22nd of February, 1906. When he got to Panama, he was 20 years old. And I have been dealing with your government. Your Prime Minister knows me, and I met Santia back in 2018. I've worked with 2 of your Prime Ministers. And your ambassador that is there now. Yeah.
He went last week.
I know. I went the day that I came, he left. And Philip is there.
Phillipson Hill, that's right.
Mhm. And I'm trying to reach out because somebody in here might be my family.
Beresford Alfonso Brown?
Yes, and his mother was Elizabeth Headley. I didn't even know I had a Headley in my family.
So
My grandmother's family were Smalls and Skeet. She was Rosa, Ethelyn, Theodora, Estelle, something. Her mother was James Edwards, and her mother was Anna Francis.
Her mother was what? Sorry.
Anna Francis.
Anna Francis.
Yes. She was born December the 29th of 1883, and he was born November the 17th of 1885. I understand she went to Venezuela and then she went to Panama and they got married there. I am ecstatic. I can't tell you guys how I felt.
I can imagine.
Cried. Marcia Nurse helped me at the archives, and I was able to find my grandfather's paper. I have his fingerprints. And it's something, I'm emotional now because it is something big for me. I'm supposed to meet Joel Headley somewhere here. Where's Joel Headley? Is he here? And I am going to try to find my grandmother's family now.
What you're urging me to consider, and I'd like to ask Jonathan and Selma Green, that if we can have a special page on the We Gathering that can allow people to post names so that people can go on it and find if there's family. For example, I did the same thing because I know, it's a funny thing, I grew up hearing all along that my father's grandfather.
Tappin?
Not the Tappin side.
Sylvia Tappin?
No. The Tappin side is where I know you, but this is the one for Speightstown now.
Oh, I don't know that.
Was a Collins, and they called him Tom Collins all the time. He was from Guyana originally, and he married my great-grandmother, and they lived right here. Most of them were born right opposite there. But that he left, he couldn't read or write, and he went to Ecuador, I believe, and he would send back a lock of his hair. He was half Indian. Would send back a lock of his hair every Christmas to let them know he was alive. Now, we're still trying to find the family down there. Okay? But the bottom line is, I appreciate the sentiment that you have and feel. And if we can create that space on our website, anytime Eric Holder comes to Barbados, Dale will tell you that he starts to talk about all of the family in St. Joseph and wanting to meet more people, so that this is a real thing for people. We're also working to try to digitize the archives so that ultimately people can do the searches on their own instead of having to overwhelm Ms. Nurse. But the excellent work that they're doing.
She was wonderful, but she did a favor because somebody asked her to help me, and she did a wonderful job, very wonderful job.
So we'll put something where you can put the information up, the names and the addresses and the dates of birth, so that others can connect.
I plan to bring a group in November. That's why I'm here trying to find places. Because I've been to the 2012 Diaspora Conference. I brought people, and 2014. And 2016, I came to your Independence 50th anniversary.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing you again. And
Yes, just some helpful information for you and other persons who would like to relate to any of their family members from St. Peter. At one of our marquee events, Speightstown Alive, we will be having genealogical workshops that will be held on the 15th of February. So please come out so that you can get your links to your family. Up next, sir.
Good night.
Yes.
Guests, ministers, Prime Minister. I would like to make a few suggestions. First, I believe that the continuing education should include at least a couple of African languages. Two, I believe that in the high schools, that students should have the option of wearing African design attire, but within the framework of the uniform. Also, I believe that students should be encouraged to call each other sir and madam as a kind of respect, because they have a kind of way of talking down to each other real badly today. So I think that could be encouraged. And the last thing, Our Public Order Act was poorly drafted by our first Prime Minister. Because if two people stays up in Broad Street, they could be arrested. I think it should be expanded to at least a farm room. Let's say there's 40 students in a class. At least 40 students should be able to stand up in Broad Street without being arrested or harassed by the police. And in order to have a demonstration, I think you shouldn't have to apply to the police. You should could apply to a justice of a peace or a totem. Because as it stands today, it is one of the worst public order acts in the world. And let's say, for instance, when the last government was doing certain things, you couldn't expect to go to the police and get approval for a demonstration. But you could have people that were justice of peace that would have approved it. So I think the Public Order Act needs to be revisited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll certainly look at it. And I'll just say to you that I discovered that between 1635 and 1700, Barbados was effectively an Akan-speaking country. Well, 2 centuries and 3 centuries passed. But the bottom line is that I take your point. We have a language lab at the community college, and we can certainly talk to them about the introduction of Akan and Swahili. So just to start. There are many more languages, but those 2 to start. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Prime Minister, before we go ahead, we have the chairman of the Alexandra School, and he wishes to make a contribution.
All right, let's go because we'll have a lot of people here that who've been standing up waiting, Ronnie.
Hi, good afternoon, Prime Minister. Welcome to Alexandra. Welcome to my house. It's great to have you here. Really, what I want to ask, and I just want to put this out there by a show of hands, how many people are from Spikestown?
All of we.
Good. And the reason I ask that is because what we're really trying to get at today, I think, is an engagement with the persons of Spikestown, and we have to get them actively involved in whatever we're doing for Spikestown. And often, sometimes we think committees and things like that, which are brilliant, but sometimes it just takes that old-fashioned knocking on doors, trying to figure out what they want. How do we engage them in the rebuilding of Spikestown? What do they want to see for Spikestown? Because sometimes the ideas that we have in our head are not actually what the residents of Spikestown and what they envisage for this town. How do we rebuild this town? How do we make it work not only for tourists and investors, but how do we make Spikestown work for the people who live in Spikestown and who work in Spikestown?
That's why I want the committee set up. But I take your point that the committee's work should not only be internal to the committee, but it should be also the canvassing of views within Spikestown door to door.
And exactly, and that will be critical. And on top of that, it also, I think, is important for us here is how do we generate income and revenue from persons within and around Spikestown. For example, energy costs. Why aren't all the businesses, the government-owned businesses in Spikestown, carrying solar panels to generate enough energy for their use and to sell back to the grid to make money that they can reinvest in projects? There's simple things that we can do for Spikestown. They're not grand, that can actually turn Spikestown around. Fixing the facades of Spikestown, rehabilitating the bridge in Spikestown. A lot of what Spikestown needs is just care, love, and attention, not huge grand plans, but plans that really get down to the nitty-gritty of the people that live here and how we actually engage with that space. And I say that because 1, I went to school here, and 2, I live in Spikestown. So this is also, to me, personal. And I am invested in whatever will happen in Spikestown, and I want to be part of that partnership, as I'm sure
Colin is hearing you.
Yeah, and to confirm to you that I am with you on the idea that nothing can happen in Spikestown unless Spikestown people are involved.
Yeah.
End of story. So any task force that is set up will have representation from people who, not just who are we call stakeholders, because that means a whole lot of stuff.
Exactly.
Residents, people who have lived here, will be on the task force that we form.
Exactly.
Which is why I've asked Colin to lead and recommend the people.
Exactly.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next person.
Good evening, everyone. Prime Minister. My name is Inez Maskell, and my family is originally from Spikestown. And when I was planning to return to live in Barbados as a retired person, in 2011, my father brought me to Speightstown. He said, this is where you should retire. And he showed me the stone in the sea just next to the public baths. And that's where my grandmother's house was, and that's where he was born. And the sea has now reclaimed that part of the island. However, I teach line dance in the resource center overlooking that rock in Barbados. So I think that's part of my personal heritage. My family is from the Farm Road in, just up the road there. And there's my cousin in from New York, and I've got lots of family in for the gathering. And I must say thank you for that idea.
Wonderful, thank you.
Know,
Thank them for coming as well.
Oh, yes. And next Thursday, the 13th, we're dancing in the Esplanade, and everyone here is invited to come and take part or to watch. And for me, my idea is to promote the arts in the community. Because in London, we have drama schools where children who are gifted and talented in acting and performing and dancing and singing, they have the opportunity to go to these schools. Although they're private, you pay, because they are not government yet. But the talent is there and nurtured. You know, personally, I sent both of my sons to stage and drama school, and they were able to travel the world and enjoy life to the full. And I see children here in Barbados just as talented, but not really have that opportunity.
It's about exposure. And we're going to work together to get to that point.
Yes, because we have lots of people. We have someone like Simon Cowell who comes out here every single Christmas with X Factor. We should promote something like that. Have a school where he can come in and watch our kids perform, and they have that exposure. Because we have got lots of talent here. You know, I go around to all the places that people are performing and dancing, because that's my passion.
Point well made, and that's why the government is investing in community-based mass training for cultural and sporting activities, because we believe that artists and sportsmen are global citizens.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think Colin wants your information to draft you in.
Okay. My name is Inez Masco.
No,
and you can see me any Thursday at the
send
Resource
somebody,
Center.
we'll send somebody to get the information for Colin for you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good night. Thank you for being here. Firstly, my name is Jewel. Hold it down. That's better? Okay. My name is Jewel Leacock. This is Christina Allman, and we represent Uplift Speightstown. That's a project that was conceptualized in 2015. Basically, it's about the rejuvenation of the town, different aspects. So I just wanted to share a few of the aspects with you and also comment about the momentum aspect that one of the other speakers made. So we are in the process of, well, we've actually finished putting together about 5 murals. We have permission on about 5 different properties to go ahead with these murals, including the students from the BCC. Everything is pretty much finalized. We just need some money and support.
I tried to hear you. I'm not hearing you good.
Oh,
I know I have
part?
a chest infection, so.
Okay.
I heard most of what you said. I just want to know, what is Uplift Speightstown? What type of activity is it?
It is a charity just geared towards the improvement of Speightstown. We're both from Speightstown.
Right, but what is it you want the money to do? That's what we're trying to find out.
Install the murals. We want to also offer historical information about buildings and properties. People come through Speightstown like, what was this place? What was this place years ago? You know, so it's about providing information on the town, especially prehistoric information. Also doing community-oriented events, utilizing the Esplanade more because it was such a strong stake in, you know, the social gathering of the town. The first television was down there. The first mural we also have that was actually, I guess, confirmed was depicting the 4 pillars of Speightstown. I can't remember all 4 right now, but one being whaling, and then fishing, trade, So it's important to capture the historic element of Spicetown.
So you want to work in heritage, and you want to work also in community-based
creative art,
activity.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I can't tell you exactly how yet, but I'm certainly willing to take your information and see how we can work with you, because we're really trying to be able to see how we can expand. There also is the Arts and Sports Fund, which is funded from the lottery. And if you put a project proposal to it, I can give you the assurance that the public servants who make judgments out of that fund will consider it in good faith. So if you don't know about it, then you should put together a proposal and let them look at it and see how and what they can help you with. Is that fair?
Sounds fair.
So you write to the Arts and Sports Promotion Fund? Okay?
Through the SCF? Okay.
You want to know which ministry?
Thank you. I got it.
I think it's
Thank
Ministry
you.
of Finance. Arts and Sports Promotion Fund. Ministry of Finance or the Ministry of Culture and Creative Economy. Either one will ferret it to the committee.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, too.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I look forward to seeing some of your stuff.
Look forward to showing
The
it to
works
you.
that you're doing.
Yes.
Okay.
Would love to show you.
Frank.
Good night, Prime Minister. Good night, Ministers Colin Jordan and Bradshaw. Prime Minister, you know that my passion is the arts, and I am particularly passionate now about film. I spent the most of the day working on a production, a documentary on the history and culture of Six Mains. It's going to probably run about maybe an hour. And this will be shown at our movie night on the 12th of February. Most people know me as a poet. I will also be featured on Poetry at the Pub on the 25th of this month as well, as a poet. But I have also a passion for heritage, and I'm especially interested in this, the developing and preserving the heritage of Spikestown, St. Peter, and that is why we are doing this film on Six Mains. Because in doing this documentary, I have discovered so much information about Six Mains alone. I remember we were trying to come up with the idea of how Six Mains got its name. We've not been able to actually pin it down to a concrete way where the name was developed for Six Mains, but we have pretty much followed the historical thing where the persons Europeans who came here would have found Six Mains on the bay. And in actual fact, the earliest map recorded as Six Mains Bay. And then, of course, there was one of the forts on the west coast was situated at Six Mains on the hill, where there are still guns right now. And it was Six Mains Fort. So they have Six Mains Bay and Six Mains Fort, right? But anyhow, we are working on this documentary, and that brings to my mind the idea that we need to have, in order to preserve this heritage, one way of preserving our heritage is by using film. And rather than make some of the film that I see people in Barbados are making, which sometimes might not make much sense, I have decided to, working with these young filmmakers in Six Mains, to steer them in a direction where we produce something that is meaningful to the country. Because we are producing something, we are a St. Peter group producing something in St. Peter, but we want it to be a start. Because I am sure that when other communities see this documentary, they're going to want a documentary done on their district, their particular part of Barbados as well.
Well said. Thank you, sir.
Right.
And last time I saw you were editing films, so.
Yes. We're still happy that area, but this one will be done, and hopefully we will get it out. And people will be...
Okay. I want to use the prerogative of the chair to allow us to take the students. I'm conscious of the time, and I really don't want students on the road later than it is now. So could I ask us, the adults, to let me take the students one time first, if you don't mind, thanks. Come. What's your name?
Sierra Hurley.
Sorry?
Sierra Hurley.
Sierra. Okay. And what's your name?
My name is Bethany Sweet.
Okay. Both of you speaking together?
Yes, please.
Let me hear you.
Good night to everyone. This beautiful town contains a history steeped in the arts, which is depicted in the Spitestone Art Gallery located in Chapel Street. This art gallery is the only one in the region committed to promoting the art. The gallery features artists such as Timothy Bartlett, who sought to capture the essence of Spitestone through his painting of the well-known jetty in Spitestone, and the work of Stephen Bonner, who captured the ever-so-famous East Coast. As we know, the Bonner family has a strong link to the Alexandra School.
As we speak on various contributions of art to the art world of the past, it would be thoughtless not to mention those who have passed through the hallowed hall of the Alexandra School. In 2018, the Keisha Baker's exhibition was showcased in the Spitestone Resource Center.
In order to preserve this art, it is proposed that we host a Queen Street art shutdown exhibition.
This exhibition will showcase various
What kind of exhibition, sorry?
A street shutdown art exhibition.
Street shutdown art, a street exhibition?
Yes, please.
So you want us to shut down the street and we have the exhibition?
Yes.
That's cool.
The exhibition will showcase various craftsmen whose art will be displayed and sold at reasonable prices, as well as be placed on the tourism calendar to inform various cruise lines and airlines. In addition, to gain more international presence, it will be mentioned at various trade shows like BMX. So as we think on the art of Spitestone, let's not only think of those who have contributed to the historical art or those who have immortalized this stone through visual arts, but those who are the future of the art world of this stone. Those whose art is not only a current reflection of Barbados, but a current reflection of this stone.
I want to thank you all. Colin is already talking to me about how we can look to see how we can do the periodic street shutdown for art exhibition, because I think it will attract people. It's a novelty. And I am, every now and again when the gentleman wasn't standing there, I was watching the painting, so thank you.
Tonight our featured painter is Mr. Dwayne Mears, and he is painting his perspective of future Barbados, future Spitestone in Barbados.
Before you all two leave, what do you want to do, Sierra? Come back. What do you all want to do when you leave school?
I want to be a software engineer.
Very good. You doing any coding already?
Not yet, because I don't do computer science, but I do information technology.
Before you leave, I'm sure that the Minister of Education will want your information, because we're trying, the Caribbean Science Foundation does a robotics program every summer at Youie. Do you know about it?
No, please.
Well, I would like you to be able to enroll in it. And
So we're working with Professor Ward to be able to get some programs going to expand the opportunities for young people to participate in this area. So we can speak after.
And
thank you.
Your partner, what do you want to do?
I am interested in culinary art, so I hope to become a chef.
They got a lot of culinary artists down here, Gregory. So you know what you have to do. And believe you me, for all of you who are interested in it, the one thing people do every day is eat. So keep going. There will always be room for good food.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good night. My name is Triana Arthur.
What's your name?
Triana Arthur.
Okay. Ms. Arthur, come closer to the mic. Arthurs are known for speaking loud in St. Peter.
I am not from the parish of St. Peter, but I go to the Corrigan Parish School, so in my eyes, I see myself as being a part of the St. Peter family. One of the things I think should occur is movie nights at the Esplanade, where vendors can come out and set up their stalls and so they can make money. This is one of the things I think would make Spice Song alive again. This movie night can also cater to people from different communities. Another point is to host events at the Esplanade and use a percentage of the money collected to help refurbish the jetties and many historic buildings in this historically rich town. On behalf of the Courage in Paris School, I would like to make a presentation to you.
Really? Thank you. But before you make the presentation, tell me what you intend to do. What form are you in?
Fifth,
And what do you intend to do when you leave?
hospitality and tourism management.
Very good.
Gregory, you don't know he's already back.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Hi, good night to all. My name is Camille Medford.
My name is Javier Husbands. Our proposal is developing an inter-school program with Northern Schools of Barbados.
Just raise your voice, Javier. Come closer to the mic, thanks.
Our proposal is developing an inter-school program with the Northern Schools of Barbados.
This program would consist of all Bajan games and activities, such as Wari and Pizza, that would serve to inform and encourage our youth to learn about Barbados' heritage, which will then lead them to wanting to create memorable traditions of their own.
This would plan a fundamental need for us as a community that would create new and sustainable ideas to tackle the growing problem of economic unproductivity.
I'm going to ask Santia to speak to you because I'm sure she will want you to submit the proposal and allow us to be able to see how we can raise some prizes for the competition on the condition that you do it and plan it.
I think it's interesting that you speak about the old-time games because, again, Prime Minister has spoken a lot about creating that national consciousness as well and understanding where we have come from. So I think being able, as we move forward with the reforms, being able to carve a curriculum that also allows a lot of the introduction of these types of games and pastimes to be brought to you as well as students is going to be equally important as we move forward. So look forward to that and working with Colin certainly to be able to plan that in the parish.
And Peter, have you ever played Wari?
I heard about Wari, but no.
You see? So we need to make sure Wari is a very good game. Ian is standing behind you. I'm sure, Ian, you've played Wari?
Sort of.
So you can teach the others, or are you ain't good enough?
I'm not good enough to teach.
But there are people who can teach. Where Austin, you've played? See, so you have Mr. Husbands here who can help you all with it. But if you want, you have Courage and Parry, Alexandra, Daryl Jordan, and Aline that you can start. Test it out for the first few months among the first 4 schools. And if it goes well, then we go at national. That's the deal? So how soon can you get the proposal into Minister Bradshaw?
As soon as my homework finish.
At least you know your priorities. So let's say we can give you until the end of February to get the proposal in.
I got keep exams. I will try.
End of February? But don't do it on your own.
Yes.
Team building, work with the others. So you're going to come up with a Bajan Games competition. All Bajan Games competition. Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Hi, good night, panel. Rivelino Simmons. Few things. We can't lose any more opportunities. A few years back, 2 youngsters from community college developed a piece of software, playing around with it, camera, and they sold it for a few $100s. The company, you ever heard of Ring? That was the basis of Ring, the doorbell security company. It was sold for $1.5 billion. They got a few $100s. There are a lot of people developing things in Barbados, but we have to be able to move them forward to the next step. And that's the stumbling block. We get to a point and we hit a wall. We hit a wall. Some people mentioned film. I wanted to mention a few things on that, where we could become competitive in film, but taking a different approach. 3 years ago, we missed out on an opportunity. Tyler Perry Studios president came into Barbados. I met with Mervyn Lynch and him, and he wanted to do productions in Barbados. They wanted to do productions in Barbados, co-productions in Barbados. It's looking at the structure different. Rebates, we can't afford rebates to give back 30% on a production. I think it's a waste of time anyway. I think we have to look at it this way. First of all is VAT recovery. Giving them back the VAT recovery so they get back that 17.5. That shouldn't be that difficult. Number two is looking at places like Palm Marine, the hotel rooms. Because film crews don't stay there in the morning, we're out by 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and we're out on location. We come back at 7, 8 o'clock at night. Everything is catered for us. We don't care if we get breakfast there or not. They just want a bed, somewhere to sleep. Any hotels the government is involved with, you can offer them a rate. I think third, we should have a pool of equipment. I'm not talking high-end equipment like cameras, because film crews were bringing out high-end stuff that costs $1 million, $2 million a piece, or whatever. I think we should have C-stands, the light things, they're here, that are very expensive to move, because you're not going to move stands and go to a country, but if you can get them there, it makes the production easier to make ourselves more attractive. I think these are easy steps to get things going so you can start a film industry.
Revelino, send me something comprehensive. Look, when I was Minister of Culture, I wrote a 26-page paper. It's the only paper I've ever written. You remember it. It's the only cabinet paper I've ever written in my life, because ministers shouldn't write cabinet papers. And I did it because I felt passionate about it. One of the regrets that I have in becoming Prime Minister in these times is that a number of the things that I would like to do, we are constrained because of the circumstances that we've inherited. But I've been finding non-fiscal ways, as Clyde would tell you, to do some of the things, because I've learned that use your creativity as a lawyer and think outside the box to do some of the things that hitherto we used to do only through tax and spend, which is why planning gains are so important now to us now, Larry. So I'd love you to give me, the sooner you give it to me, the better. I'm in the process of estimates, and I genuinely mean that. And there may be things that I may be able to leverage between there and the Arts and Sports Promotion Fund. But Barbados can only grow by opening up to the rest of the world. And that's why I keep saying that we need to be world class. There is no more money for me to get down in St. Lucie or St. Peter or all these other places just so. We need to open up to people and to create platforms that allow people to produce and to add value.
And we are good enough. We have people sitting down in Barbados.
I know we're good enough.
I know guys are sitting down in Barbados and editing audio for Discovery Channel every day out of Barbados. Because of the internet, these files come to them, they edit, they mix the sound, mix the music, send back.
That's the point.
We just did a project. I took 10 Bajans to Mexico. We did a project with Canadian talent. It's just Bajan crew behind the scenes, all international
My
talent.
brother, I used to manage a band. I know you long. Send the paper. And I'm glad that you were patient enough to stand up there and wait for that long time to be able to ask and to say what you had to say, because I believe, and Santia came out of that business too. So believe you me when I tell you that I believe in it. I believe in it.
Good evening, Prime Minister. Good evening, Colin, if I dare say that, Minister, and Santia. Let me start by saying, welcome to Spicestown, to those who don't know Spicestown. I was conceived, born, bred, and still live in Spicestown, like Tom Collins. And Tom Collins was born to the north of Alexandra School. I was born to the south. So we share, you know, some.
Sal.
Right.
Thomas Guyanese, Sal. Yeah.
No, I'm going to talk about Sal, because Sal once made me a suit of clothes for when I went to school. The shirt was too short and the pants was too long. But that's a long story.
He thought you were going to grow a little bigger.
But remember that your aunt, Sybil, fed Ian and I until she passed. So we have a connection. I also want to remind you of the truce that we made in St. Lucie, and that what we said was that Barbados would be first.
Always.
Because everybody knows I'm a them.
Yep. We won't hold that against you.
All right. No, hold on. You can't. You shouldn't. However, I just want you to understand that Barbados comes first.
No, and I want to thank you publicly for that commitment to this country, because I believe that that is the kind of attitude that has made us safe as a nation throughout the years.
And okay, thank you very much. You know, having spent the last 70 years and 3 days here, I can't think of any place better to live. However, let's look at a few things. And one of the things that you mentioned earlier was the fact that your grandfather, your paternal grandfather, had his mural painted over. Let me get home as well. The late Kenmore Nathaniel Rystone Husbands was the first black speaker in Barbados. I am still waiting to have that highway named after him. I've been waiting for too long, and I think that he should be accorded what is his due. So,
I hear you very clearly.
Okay. And I hope that it will not be too long before, you know, my family, because we're passing on. You know, I'm 70 now, and I'm the youngest of the siblings, my mother and father's children. So, you know, it's just a case of wanting to see something done and an acknowledgement.
Understood.
Okay. Now, let's look at Spikestown. As I said, I have a t-shirt which I had done which says, I am Spikestown. And I've been selling those t-shirts to people who believe in Spikestown. Spikestown is a conglomeration of villages. But those set of villages are made up with families. And we need to look at Spikestown differently from how we would look at Oistins or Holetown or Bridgetown or wherever. Because people in Spikestown are very intimately linked. You know, you have your little family problems and whatever, but at the end of the day, you sort them out. And before we move on, and I'm glad that Colin said earlier, if I may say Colin, right? That he said earlier that we are going to use the people of Spikestown to further the ideas. Now, one of the first things I want to see is that jetty gone. It is in the wrong location. I said that 18 years ago, right? And as a nautical person, it should never have been placed there. Now, let's look back. When I heard those youngsters talking about the old games and old-fashioned games, our forefathers put the jetties in the correct places. If you go into Spikestown, anytime you get a rough sea again, you're going to see the old jetties exposed because the sand is taken away. That jetty in Spikestown is a cost, and a cost that we cannot continue to be burdened with. I know I don't have a lot of friends when they say that, but I got a lot more friends, especially the ones from St. Peter, that agree with me, and the nautical people who understand that the jetty was placed on the southern side of a reef. And if you're from the West Coast, you understand that the southern side of a reef is where you get the biggest break. Now, I was hulling from the time I was about 8 or 9, and I'm 70 now. So I should know and understand what should happen in the jetty. Other people who are involved in the same kind of business, and the fishermen. No fisherman will come to Spikestown Jetty now at all. They all go to 6 months. And it's not because Spikestown Jetty and the market, that they're not attractive. They're attractive. But look at what happened the other day. We had the last rough sea, and they knocked down 2 of the light poles that were recently put up. I have got them on film. And my buddy Halaracho, who is 76 years old, was in time to take a photograph of them. So we need to forget the jetty. If you want a donation as far as the thing to move it, I will help you move it.
Point is well made.
Okay. So that is the spike, as far as that is concerned. Now let's look at heritage.
Sorry, the Minister of Maritime Affairs is here, and I will ask him to get a report to me as soon as
Not a
possible.
problem. But let's look at heritage now. We have got to look at Spicestone, because Spicestone is an old town. I still believe it's the oldest town. Dr. Carol Watson and I have differences of opinion as far as that is concerned. But you look at a place like Prince Alfred Lane. Prince Alfred Lane, right through the Cutthroat Alley. It's not blocked. Has been blocked for a long time. I've been writing on Facebook for umpteen ages, and not a single person will tell me why it is blocked. Until Prince Alfred Lane is unblocked, I am going to continue to write. I think I live to 124. So whoever is in government has to understand it has to be unblocked. That is part of our heritage. Cutthroat Alley has a history of its own. The reason why Plantation Limited did not trouble that area when they had their fire and even when they operated was because it is a public road. I want to know why Prince Alfred Lane has not been unblocked. And I've been asking.
For how long has it been blocked?
For
Austin?
about 6 or 7 years now.
No,
The guy to the south actually removed the gate. But you know what's funny is that I spoke with someone from a particular newspaper. I ain't gonna call the name. But he said to me, but at least you can get to the beach. Getting to the beach is not all, but it's the fact that I grew up with the marvels when the Spikestown Exchange, the St. Peter Telephone Exchange, was in that building to the right at the end of Cutthroat Alley, right? And now I'm seeing, I used to go to the beach there with my family. I was only 3-4 years old, and now we have to go and walk down steps. We can't walk through there. We cannot. The almond tree has been taken down. We have got to look at things.
Regrettably, Minister Phillips has left, but I will make sure that he follows up to find out why it is blocked. I can't tell you that I will do something without knowing why it was blocked first.
Okay, but
so
no,
we'll get the reason
let's
and
move
we'll
on to the
communicate with you.
Let's move to the positives.
No problem.
Because for years, St. Peter was known for its steel bands and its musical bands. Right? And let me fast forward, because you might remember Peter Whitehead. But before that, we had the guys from down in 6 Mines that had the pan, people like Darcy and those that ran steel bands. Hal Ramsey, Stetson Bob's father, that group that had steel bands and they played in steel bands. We need to bring back the Spikestown, and the Spikestown Esplanade needs to be covered. The police band came every Saturday before Christmas and played at the Spikestown Esplanade from the days of Captain Raison. Joe Griffith up to Prince Cave. But all of a sudden we have lost that. I think we need to do that to bring back. We had something called Spikestown sizzling. But it fizzled out. Because we were trying to copy Oystins. We cannot copy Oystins. Spikestown is unique. Minister, I could take up your ministers, Prime Minister, I could take up the entire night talking about Spikestown. I am Spikestown.
I can come and have some Southway again.
Any Saturday.
Exactly.
And I tell you what, I'm just across the street and I don't ever need a telephone call. Bless
no problem.
You.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Okay. I just want, before you start, just to agree with Austin, and this goes back to how we said we would constitute the task force. Spikestown is Spikestown, and it cannot be Oystins in Spikestown.
Thank you.
End of story.
Thank you.
We're getting ready to close the floor, so we're just going to have the last 4 persons who are standing give their contributions. But before we do that, Madam Prime Minister, there is a person online, Wendy Blackett Hayden. She would like to know if there are any plans to reopen St. Joseph Hospital.
The government actually has agreed with the University of the West Indies at Cave Hill to transfer and vest the St. Joseph Hospital property into a special purpose vehicle, of which the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus will hold 75% and we will hold 25%. And that's part of the settlement that we did with them, because when we inherited the government, the last government had accumulated hundreds of millions of dollars of arrears. So we settled some cash, and we had agreed in 2007, Mr. Arthur had agreed to vest the Lazaretto in the UWI, but the last government revoked it. So we've agreed to vest the lands at St. Joseph Hospital in a special purpose vehicle. We keep 25% just to work with them to be able to look at creating an expansion of a medical facility, because as you know, the medical faculty at Cave Hill is one of the most profitable aspects of Cave Hill's operations, but they can't do clinical because we're limited by the amount of beds that we have at the QEH in order to do internships. So we've given them that as an opportunity to see who they can get to invest in order to be able to get activity there. And we will also vest the lands at the Lazaretto. And believe it or not, the lands at Cave Hill have never been vested in the university. So we'll vest those lands in the university to give them that stability and independence that they can continue to grow. Ian?
Yes, my name is Ian Bob, a retired teacher, and I'm a born and bred Spicetonian. I'm born in Spicetown, and I know about Spicetown. I don't think the boy knows Spicetown better than me. And to follow up what Austin said just now, Spicetown always had two wharfs. One is the Princess Alice Road, which used to fill up the schooners, lead the sugar onto the schooners, and the other one was for the fishermen. The current wharf that he's speaking about, it only is about 10 feet to the north of where it was. There was always two wharfs in Spicetown. But that's not my main contention here tonight. There was some talk about how to use the Alma Parra School for a school of culinary arts. I really don't believe that it should be used for that purpose. I remember, Ms. Motley, you, as Minister of Education, you is the person who brought up this school in the 90s, this start of the 90s about school of excellence. I don't know why it died. And I believe that during that time, that's when the Alma Parra School came into being. Now, I believe that the Alma Parra School should continue to be a school, but not a secondary school. I believe the Alma Parra School should be used as a remedial school for primary school children who can leave the primary schools throughout the north of the island and go there for remedial teaching on a day release basis or week or something, but not as a school per se. That is my belief. Now, I believe that if you want to go to a culinary school, that either the Alexandra School or the Kojampari School can be a school for that excellence. That's my belief. Now, we have a place that wasting money, have no economic value at all, called a police station in Spicetown. That has no economic value whatsoever. That went there when they had problems with the police station to the top, the Station Hill. That's why that went there, and it was supposed to be temporarily. That building started out to be a workshop for the transport board. Then they say they was going to turn it into a theater which is badly needed in Spicetown. I believe that that police station should move, go back where it was, and build a good police complex on the hill with a magistrate's court. That's my belief. And where the police station is now can be used as a theater. Not just for the performing arts, but for vendors selling their art. Not potatoes and yams and things, but selling art. I believe that that could be an outlet for art. It's small art, people selling art. That's my take on it. That's the Attorney General back. I hope you hear what I say about the police station and the magistrate's court. The land is still there. The land ain't going nowhere. It's still there, open up. Good? In Spicetown, this is economic land. The police station hand right back this on the heart of town. It's unproductive. It is unproductive.
Well, may we look at it, but the bottom line is that we also need to keep the place stable too.
Yeah, but it was always on the hill.
Agreed.
And the place was stable.
But the hill may also, the land there may have a high value too because it has a view. So you don't need to put a police station with a view today with the technology that we have. But we'll look at it here.
Okay.
We'll look at it. The point made about Spikestown needing a theater has resonated with me. So that whether it is at the police station or elsewhere, that point has resonated. And I'm sure the AG has heard you and we can discuss because he is doing a paper on the relocation of some of the police stations that we don't need a police station, for example, in Worthing on the Coast Road. You understand? We need a police station in 6 roads as opposed to District C on the hill. Police stations were put on the hill in days when line of sight was critical.
And the issue with the police, I believe that you are wasting the police resources when we have policemen in police stations and in magistrate courts doing clerical duties. I believe that's a waste.
The AG is already dealing with that, so he's ahead of the curve with that.
Okay.
Yep.
And nurses, the same thing. They have a lot of nurses that do clerical duties at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital.
Okay.
Waste a taxpayer
Point
money.
is well made because you're training at a high level for people to do things that other people who are not trained can do. Point is well made.
Okay, that's my contribution.
Thank you, my brother. And we will look at the Alma Paris point. The Alma Paris school was dedicated to people who needed. We needed not to have in large numbers in schools because they get lost. But I think Santia has heard you, and we can look at everything. But we know that we need special places to give more time to students who need more time. Whatever happens, yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam. Good evening, everyone. With protocol being observed, Madam Prime Minister, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we lose millions of dollars every year because of one thing that you have mentioned earlier, and you hinted to, accessibility for persons with disabilities. And I'm not just talking about sidewalks. I'm talking about the shops, the buildings, the businesses, the hotels. Many times you find that there are persons who may be interested in visiting our beautiful country. But the problem is, probably sometimes, it may be in the peak season, there's no rooms available because there's only X amount of rooms there available in hotels. If you walk through Spikestown, you'll find that most of the sidewalks in Spikestown are not wheelchair accessible. And we must also be careful how we're going to say that we're going to build accessible sidewalks because the sidewalks to which we are building now are not wheelchair friendly. They have that half-inch lip that is there, that if you're not flexible, you cannot get those front wheels lift to push it over that.
That's why I spoke to them about being able to have a smooth ramp up rather than what they've been doing.
But we don't only want to provide ramps to them. We also want to make sure that they have access to the beaches. There are ramps that we can build to be able to help them get access to the beach. And we want to know that some of the shuttles are wheelchair friendly, so that everybody would have the opportunity to be able to have access to everything that we have to offer. Okay? One of the other points I wanted to raise, I feel there's a need for a real Optimum or even a better sporting facility in the north of the country. We have a situation where we only have the National Stadium and Youie sporting complex, and which caters mostly to the people from the south. Many times also you find visitors coming here to the country or when they are here, athletes cannot use those facilities. And I am working in an athletics background, I'm working in Paralympics, and I told you it's sometimes very, very difficult to be able to get into those facilities. Thank you very much, ma'am.
I thank you for part of the difficulty is just capacity now. So we're doing the National Stadium first. That's going to take a lot out of us. The university has the facilities down at the Lazaretto, but I hear you. It's not only a track that I'd like to see ultimately, but a pool, some pools. But I want to moderate expectations as our circumstances improve. This is where we want to carry the country, for real. Thank you. I would say though, where's Ronnie, that you may want to make sure that in the interim, that Alexandra School or College Ampari can up its game with respect to what facilities it has for athletics. No. You are too entrepreneurial, my brother. This course has more money on it than I can even begin to think of. And you need to set yourself a project, just as Queen's College set itself a project. And Queen's College, the pavilion is not finished, but a lot of money has been spent on it. So I have every confidence in your capacity to help engage the Alexandra alumni, as well as the businesses and residents of Speightstown on the West Coast, to help you put a track in at the back here for Alexandra School. The hardest thing is to cost it. Thank you. Yes, Jamal.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to not repeat what has been said earlier, but just mention on the point of the task force. It is my belief that task force can only take us so far. About a year ago, I think, Minister Jordan, or 2 years ago, I submitted a fairly comprehensive document which outlined a similar format at Needham's Point, which referred to a Speightstown Development Trust, where we engage the public, where they can become more invested in the projects in Speightstown, so that it's more than just, hey, this is government, this is what we want for Speightstown, where the average Barbadian can come on board, share their ideas, almost in the form of a cooperative. And this is seen in the United Kingdom. But as I said, not to repeat what was said earlier, the cannons in Speightstown, it is my understanding that some of them are now housed with the Barbados Defense Force. Minister Jordan, I have spoken to you, and I just want to bring it to the attention of the Prime Minister also, that we would like at least some of the cannons to return back to Speightstown, if not all. We have a further challenge that the coastline is actually eroding because of nature, and in some case, human activity. And the cannons on the Jordans area has actually fell over into the sea. And if we can get those, as for Denmark, I believe, if we can get those cannons, I believe Orange Street Grocer, the owner of Orange Street Grocer, has already indicated that he is interested. He already has the funding that to get that done. But obviously, you can't just go and pick up the people cannons. You gotta at least have some form of permission from the Barbados Defense Force to actually mobilize that effort. And finally,
I haven't seen it, but let them write the proposal. The defense board sits, the AG is on it, I'm on it. I chair the defense board. Let them submit the proposal, we look at it.
Great. And finally, my final point, Farley Hill National Park. We are talking about St. Peter, we are in St. Peter, and Farley Hill is our national park. My question is, with the actual Great House now being in the state it is, what are the intentions there going forward for the future? That's just my points. Thank you.
You obviously heard some speeches I made when I was Minister of Culture. I told you earlier that getting to this position and not having the flexibility is one of the hardest things. And I hope that we can so get ourselves back in a position that a very noble project, which would be the restoration of Farley Hill Great House, could be undertaken. Right now, if you want to have any concept of what Farley Hill Great House looked like, you have to go and watch Island in the Sun. But I think that is a project, a worthwhile project, that we can look at in the scheme of things and estimates, which is the mode I'm in now. Expenditure is either essential, highly desirable, or optional. At the moment, I would have to put the restoration of Farley Hill as optional. I would like to be able to move it to highly desirable in the near future. But realistically, given the state of schools and given the state of community centers and other things, we got to deal with the needs first before we get to deal with the wishes. So, but it will remain a wish in the same way that I'd like to see the Empire Theatre come back to fruition as soon as possible. All right? Thank you, though. And your points on the cannons are well made, as well as the Speightstown Development Trust, which will create an independent entity that government can work with.
Good night, Madam Prime Minister. Good night, Ministers Jordan and Bradshaw. Actually, Jamal and I, we did not have this planned. I actually walked with a document tonight. I had about 4 ideas to share, but I actually walked with a document tonight similarly to what he spoke about. And is testament in the UK, testament in the US, they're called BIDs. They're just business improvement districts. And instead of calling them task force, this document, I will hand this to my minister as well, so that you can use this as well to create that particular framework. Within that business development, business improvement district, you get a geographical area which could spread from Mullins straight down to Half Moon Fort. I would encapsulate the entire Spikestone area. But in essence, what is done, the actual businesses within that particular framework, within that bid, they pay a levy based on earnings, and if they're below the threshold, they can volunteer into the fund. So therefore, you remove the arm of government, you have the independent body, you have a committee of persons, and this is a 5-year manifesto. This is a 5-year plan that speaks to, and there's some politics
What's
involved.
your name?
My name is Kerry Jordan.
Kerry?
Jordan.
Jordan, okay.
Yes. Sorry.
And you have the proposal for one for me and one for Colin?
Well, sorry, I will hand it through my minister to you, madam.
No problem.
Yep.
I look forward to reading it. I think the idea is a novel idea. Earlier you heard me talk about the responsibilities of ownership in towns, and therefore we need to find ways of making it work. What the solution is, I can't tell you, so we're happy to be able to receive recommendations from you in that proposal, but also in the committee, task force, whatever you want to call it, that has to be done. We want to receive the ideas.
Yep.
Okay?
As Jamal said, they're not novel. In the US and the UK, they handle millions of dollars for business districts.
Yeah.
And they're audited, they are transparent, and they continue past political expiry dates.
And that's why we want it, because we want to make sure that we have continuity and not disruption when an election takes place.
Correct.
Yeah.
One more idea. I had 4, but 2, finishing off. Within the essence of heritage, one of the other things that I want to offer to the committee and offer to Spikestone and then to the wider remit of Barbados would be an application, cell phone application, where we can geofence the particular heritage sites within Spikestone, within St. Peter. We spoke about persons who have disabilities and challenges. We can geofence or we can put beacons on these particular devices that when persons pass with cell phones and they have the particular application, all of the history of the cannons, the murals, even artwork can be displayed through apps. This is something that I want to extend to St. Peter first, to ensure that we can pilot it, we can use it, we can run it out where we want to do the arts festivals, we can put it on art, we can put it there, and then we can roll it out in the port to tourists who come through the actual port of call who don't know where to go in Barbados, but they can be driven to Bridgetown. Okay. Oh, same here. So, yeah. So,
there's actually a number of different people who have it. So it's really a question of you all working the software to get to market.
Sure. So the app is live and ready.
Yeah.
So whenever you guys are ready.
Well, I want to put it back to you, because governments really don't trade in that way. So what I'd like to suggest is that you just go to the businesses around here and find a model that works for them and use it. And I mean, not only will we bless it, we will praise you for being innovative enough to work with the businesses in the town and the other facilities in the town. Yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
One quick point. I know many of the students spoke about the Heritage Fridays and having some of the performance spaces being used in the Esplanade. I know one of the challenges I had just recently when I was training children for NIFCA, the Spikestone Esplanade has become a living space for a lot of persons in Spikestone, particularly men. So I know that is something that certainly Minister Jordan will need to look into as it relates to the number of persons actually using the Esplanade as a home. But certainly in terms of an excellent performance space for St. Peter, the Esplanade is one of the ideal places, but it is now a home.
It may well be that we will need a similar shelter in the north like the one we have with the Clyde Gollop shelter in town, to begin to help dealing with it. What I've learned over the years too is that don't assume that because you've built a shelter that people will move, because for those who have mental health issues it goes beyond simply the availability of space. So we take the point, but we do need to make sure that we have something that can house and accommodate them. And it's a perfect charitable venture that not just government can look at, but other charities can look at to help us do some of the cleaning up. Is that it?
Yes, that's it. For the entire night, we were watching our painter, our artist, Mr. Dwayne Mears, with his painting. He's now going to come up and show the audience his painting and give a brief description of what it is he has envisioned and what it is he's depicting.
And while he comes up, I want to say to all of you who have come out, I am so proud of my country. I really am. You know, when people asked us whether people will come out to these events at the parish level, I said, let us try. If we fail, we fail, but nothing beats a trial. And in St. Lucie, the response was phenomenal. In St. Peter, it is turning out to be equally phenomenal. Let us create, this is democracy in action, and this is how we build a nation and raise a people. So, my brother?
Hi, good night. So this is my piece. It's mixed medium, watercolor, and acrylic. And it's basically a depiction of future Spike Stone. I was hoping to finish in the allotted time. I didn't get the opportunity to finish, but the finished piece would have Spike Stone as it is, without all the wires. Hopefully, we could be on the ground with the electricity, more renewable energy. Even in terms of Wi-Fi, somehow it could be without the wires and the traditional sense. It's difficult to envision a technological future, but I did my best.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. We now invite...
Spikes down without wires. Let me just add to that. Our Roofs to Reefs program, which is a transformational project that we want to leave Barbados with to allow us to become more resilient to the climate crisis, also envisages that we need to put, especially in our main arteries and our main towns, our cables underground. Puerto Rico and Dominica, both after a year, were still not back with electricity after being hit by hurricanes. And I spoke today about us starting on Highway 1 between the bottom of University Hill and Old Town Methodist Church. And one of the things that we have to do, which is why it's taken us long to get it off the ground, is that we're also integrating the planning to make sure that the water mains that have to be removed and other things that we can put underground, that we put as much of it underground as possible as we can now. And even if the light and power isn't ready, for us to be able to put in, what's the proper language, conduits, in order to be able to run the cables after, so, or whatever they call it. What happened? Oh. So we want to be able to do that. So I want to thank the brother for his inspiration in his painting towards promoting us to that point.
Okay. In keeping with Minister Jordan's need to include young people and to embrace young people, we will now have the youngest member of the St. Peter Parish Organizing Committee, Shaquem Howell, give the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much. Good evening. It is my great pleasure to move the vote of thanks on this occasion of the second I-Day Forum of the We Gathering 2020. On the behalf of the Parish Organizing Committee for St. Peter, I would like to express gratitude to the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, QC MP, Prime Minister of Barbados, for conceptualizing the We Gathering 2020 project that we are all a part of, and for joining us tonight at this forum. Many thanks to the Honorable Colin E. Jordan, MP for St. Peter, for hosting us this night and sharing his valuable contributions to the panel. Thanks to the Honorable Sancher Bradshaw, MP, Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, and all other distinguished members of the Cabinet present. We thank you for joining us. Thanks to the Chair of the POC, Ms. Jacqueline Gill. Thanks to the Chair, Ms. Jackie Gill, and the entire St. Peter Regathering Committee for the efforts towards making this evening a success. Many thanks to Ms. Jamila Burgess, this evening's moderator, for a job well done. We would like to also thank our specially invited panelists, Mr. Shane Atkins, aka Stiffy, Ms. Janine White, Ms. Petra Haynes, Chef Gregory Austin, and Mr. Laurie Warren, especially for our youth who joined us from the Alexandra, Corydon Parry, and St. Leonard's schools. To the principal, Mr. Orson Aline, and the Board of Management of the Alexandra School for allowing us to use their grounds and organizing the students, and to the principal, Ms. Sandra Goodrich of the Corydon Parry School for organizing the students to be a part of this event. Thanks to all service providers who aided us in making this event a success. Special thanks go out to all members of the media who are present here today, working hard to highlight the efforts of the Regathering Vision 2020 project. Last but no means least, to you, the audience, for being here and engaging in discussions that seek to shape the blueprint for our nation as we follow and seek to build upon our strong heritage as a people. St. Peter, Regathering. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.